Discover the miraculous impact of sacred choices, how premarital sex exposes your soul and faith. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, when the eyes of Israel were clouded by the shadows of the judges, there lived Dinah, daughter of Jacob and Leah, in the tranquil village of Shechem. The sun dipped beneath the hills, casting a golden hue across the land, illuminating her path of curiosity as she walked cautiously through the narrow streets. Little did she know, the world beyond her father's tent held dangers beyond her childish imagination, complexities woven into the fabric of the land. The laughter of local women like sweet honey drifted through the air, beckoning her with promises of friendship and kinship. Yet, as she walked, heavy lay the weight of her family's legacy, bound to Yahweh's covenant. The promises of her people were meant to guide and protect, but the betrayal of those who strayed from the path would soon cast a long shadow over their destinies. As Dinah stepped through the gates of Shechem, her eyes met those of Shechem, son of Hamor, a Hivite prince. His gaze was marked by a boldness that hinted at the power and privilege that set him apart from the simple life her family knew. In that moment, innocence met ambition, and an encounter unfolded a fateful twist of destiny that would thread her life into the tapestry of a foreign prince. Without warning, her world spiraled into chaos. Dinah was seized, the laughter of the women fading into silence as she felt the earth beneath her slip away, torn from her dreams of companionship, thrust into a reality beset by violence. Such moments, stained by cruelty, became a sacred choice, wrestling with the essence of her identity as a daughter chosen by Yahweh. Would this act of dishonor unravel the promises whispered through generations? Back in the camp, the wind carried news of Dinah's suffering to her brothers. Stoic yet fierce, Simeon and Levi received the devastating blow and allowed righteous indignation to fuel their hearts. Honor demanded action, the urge for vengeance swirled relentlessly within them. As pride swallowed faith, they unsheathed their swords, plotting bloodshed that would seep through their lineage, forever changing the contours of their family's legacy. In the heart of this turmoil, Dinah sought understanding amidst the madness. She knelt in prayer, desperately yearning for Yahweh's guidance to illuminate her path. Could she quell the tempest that threatened to distort the essence of who she was? Would her identity remain unscathed beneath the shadows of violence that loomed ominously? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. The tension coiled tighter, drawing Dinah deeper into a maelstrom that sought to pull all involved away from the sovereignty of God. As her future hung in the balance, a question resonated in the air, fragile yet potent: would they choose mercy over vengeance, love over bloodshed? The golden sun set beneath the hills, leaving only a whisper of light, while the choices made would echo through time, shaping destinies in a land that longed for divine redemption. And it came to pass that the darkness of Dinah's predicament weighed heavily upon her heart. While she knelt in silent supplication, despair threatened to envelop her spirit. "O Lord," she cried, "hear my plea. Do not forsake me in this hour of need. Though shame may cover me, I seek your mercy." Word of Dinah's plight reached the ears of Jacob, her father, who sat beneath the oak in Mamre, his heart troubled. Distress washed over him like the waves crashing against the shore. "My daughter, what has befallen you?" he lamented. He knew the covenant of Yahweh encompassed not merely his family but extended as a lifeline to the nations. Meanwhile, in Shechem, the prince sat among his brethren, feasting and rejoicing, as though the roar of judgment was but a whisper. Yet Simeon and Levi, hearts ablaze, stealthily approached the city under the cover of night, their resolve unyielding. "We shall not suffer this outrage," Levi spoke with a fierce spirit. "The blood of our sister demands justice." When the two sons of Jacob entered Shechem, they did so with cunning and resolve. With minds aligned with vengeance and swords glimmering in the moonlight, they sought the heart of the city, their chests swelling with righteous indignation. Under the cloak of night, they stealthily gathered their allies, compelling the other sons of Jacob to rally behind them. Let us serve justice, that our father's name may not be profaned among the nations. Thus, their battle cry resounded, reverberating through the alleyways until it mingled with the cries of the unsuspecting. As dawn broke, the brothers descended upon Shechem, fury and righteousness igniting their blades. The cries of the Hivites echoed amid the shock and chaos, and in swift vengeance, they struck down Shechem and those who defended him, exacting the price for Dinah's loss. But amidst the carnage, Dinah stood in the sprawling nightshade, her heart heavy not only for her own suffering but for the wrath her brothers unleashed. The vision of their noble ancestry now tangled in bloodshed stung her conscience. Will our family ever find grace again? She whispered in despair. Will my name be forever tethered to this shame, this disobedience to the will of Yahweh? The anger simmers in the hearts of the brothers, yet in the shadows lingered the Spirit of the Lord. Amid the violence, he surveyed the world with compassion yet unyielding righteousness. There lay a greater calling hidden in the folds of this tragedy, a divine purpose that awaited revelation, and as the dust began to settle over the aftermath of vengeance, a still small voice echoed through the valleys, whispering of restoration and hope yet to come. For I know the plans I have for you, the voice spoke tenderly, as though it flowed from the very heart of God, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Yet, seated upon the dirt and stone, Dinah sensed the stirring of providence like a gentle breeze brushing against her cheek. What she didn't know was that the trials faced today were but a precursor to the redemption woven intricately through her story, a tapestry entwined with the generations to come. In her darkness, a flicker of divine light beckoned her forward. What divine twists await? She wondered, as deeper, unseen bonds were about to be forged within her ancestry. Would they all embrace the unfolding script of God's sovereign plan? Thus, a question lingered in the air: in the wake of destruction, could they forge a path of reconciliation? In the wake of morning, as the sun pierced through the remnants of night, Dinah arose from her place of contemplation. The horizon before her blazed with the promise of a new day, yet the shadows of her family's actions loomed heavily. She sought her brothers, who were gathered beside the remnants of the fallen city. Their faces, once radiant with the warmth of familial love, now bore the harsh marks of battle and the weight of their choices. "Brothers," Dinah implored, her voice trembling with the fervor of her heart. "What have we done? Is vengeance truly the path to justice, or have we tainted our lineage with blood? Will our names echo through generations as instruments of wrath?" In that moment, Reuben, the eldest and the one often burdened with the weight of leadership, stepped forward. "Dinah, in our grief and anger, we sought to defend your honor. But in this endeavor, have we not strayed from the covenant? Can we not seek the mercies of the Lord to guide us back?" Yet Levi's fury had not waned. The sins of Shechem must not go unpunished. Justice has been served. Will we not be regarded as men of valor in the eyes of our people? Their words ignited a fire within Dinah's heart. She recognized the war of flesh and spirit that raged not only within her family but also within her own soul. "O Lord," she cried silently, "if only you would turn this calamity to good. May our hearts be made tender, that we may find a way to heal instead of dividing." While the brothers debated amidst the debris, the elders of Shechem, with fear etched upon their faces, gathered. Among them was Hamor, the father of Shechem, who boldly approached Jacob, seeking dialogue amidst the chaos. "Your sons have done great havoc upon us," he beseeched. "But speak, how might we find peace? Is there a path for reconciliation through the wounds of this day?" Jacob stood firm, his heart torn. "Can we not resolve this strife? We are called to be a blessing to the nations, not a curse. Yet, how can we retrieve our honor from this tumult? Shall our seed propagate anger instead of love?" A haunting silence enveloped them, allowing the weight of their decisions to settle like idle dust. Then a thought pierced through the darkness of despair, the future woven together by God's promise. Dinah felt the flicker of divine resolve. "If there be any hope for our families," she declared, "let us be the architects of reconciliation, transforming our grief into a covenant of peace rather than enmity. Her brothers paused, the turmoil in their hearts challenged by her words. What if we extend our hand in peace instead of throwing it down in wrath? Dinah continued. If forgiveness comes from our mouths, could it not heal the deepest wounds? Just then, under the shadow of the oak, the unyielding conviction of the Lord manifested. A messenger from Canaan approached, bringing tidings that would sweep through their hearts like a mighty wind. A great king has risen nearby, known for wisdom and peace. He seeks to unite the fractured tribes for a greater purpose, and he has heard tales of favor surrounding your family. The sons of Jacob exchanged glances, the tide of their destiny was shifting. What seemed a dark hour spiraled into a divine opportunity, and in the depths of her spirit, Dinah recognized this unfolding was not a chance but a divine orchestration. Surely, the path is being revealed, she exclaimed, grasping the hands of her brothers. His plans are beyond our comprehension, leading through shadows into light. Thus, with hearts reconciled and eyes unwavering upon the unfolding promise, they prepared to turn towards the winds of change, forging a new legacy in the shadow of a great king. And as the dawn heralded a new chapter, the silent whispers of fate beckoned, echoing the greater sovereign plan entwined in their history. The question lingered, a divine promise awaited its fulfillment. What awaits on this path to restoration? As the sun ascended higher, illuminating the remnants of the ruined city, Jacob's heart wrestled with the events that had transpired. He withdrew to the shade of a large oak, using its branches to shield himself from the scorching rays. How could he lead his family through the strife they had wrought? His thoughts turned inward, recalling the covenant made with the Almighty, how the Lord had blessed him despite his own failings. While Jacob immersed himself in prayer, Dinah stood before her brothers, her youthful spirit aflame with a hope that seemed to transcend the burden of their sins. Let our hearts be forever turned toward peace, she implored. What if we were to seek forgiveness and not retribution? What if healing flows from humility? As her voice rang out, an elderly man stepped forward from the council of Shechem. His skin was weathered, and his eyes wise. Young woman, he said, your words carry the weight of truth. We, too, have suffered as our kin has been struck down. Destruction begets destruction, yet your offer of peace breathes life into hope. Levi, taken aback by the counsel of the elder, clenched his fists. But what of our honor? Have we not avenged our sister? He stared fiercely, but doubt began to flicker in his spirit. The elder continued, there is a way to honor our loved ones without further staining our hands with blood. Perhaps the path to peace is where true valor lies. Dinah seized the moment and stepped closer to the grieving elders of Shechem. Her heart was filled with compassion, and she beckoned them gently. Let us approach our fathers not as enemies but as brothers separated by bitterness. We must unite, not divide. Jacob, hearing the fervor in Dinah's words, emerged from the shadows. Sons of Hamor, if peace is your desire, then let us converge at the altar of reconciliation. We shall seek a new covenant that binds our families together instead of tearing us apart. The elders of Shechem exchanged meaningful glances, the air thick with pattern-shifting possibilities. Hamor stepped forward again, hope illuminating his face. We wish to take your daughters as wives, and our daughters shall become yours, that our houses may be joined in kinship and harmony. Hesitant whispers echoed from Dinah's brothers, revealing their deep-seated tensions. Then Reuben, in a voice of acknowledgement, replied, if peace is to be forged, let it be sought under the banner of sincerity. As the sun began to dip low, casting golden rays across the land, an aura of possibility enveloped them. Forgiveness lay heavy upon their tongues, and the weight of unity began to lift the burdened hearts, yet as they deliberated the blending of their families, a hardened figure emerged from behind the crowd. It was Simeon, anger still simmering. Think not too lightly of our slain, for the blood cries out for acknowledgement. Shall we bury the sins of Shechem without recompense? I beseech you all, cried Dinah, reflect upon what the Lord desires. Is it not written, that mercy triumphs over judgment? The prophetic words resonated, stirring something deep within each heart. The hour grew late, and shadows stretched long across the land. As the tension hung heavy in the air, Jacob called for silence. In this moment of decision, let it not be the bitterness of the past that determines our future, but the love of God that binds us. Each step we take can echo throughout generations. And in the eye of the storm, the sacred promise began to emerge not only from the depths of their souls but from the very heart of God's unwavering plan. It became evident to Dinah this was not merely about vengeance or honor, but about the restoration of a people chosen for light. What would their choice be? Would they embrace this divine calling or perish under the weight of unforgiveness? As they deliberated, the heavens bore witness, and the culmination of their struggle loomed ahead, hidden yet beautiful. And the spark of God's sovereignty beckoned, whispering into their hearts, "What is the true cost of the blessing that awaits?" As the first stars began to pierce the twilight, a palpable stillness enveloped them. Jacob stood before the gathered assembly, his face a canvas of wisdom etched through years of trials. He lowered his gaze, seeking the words that would bring peace to this turbulent hour. "Let us not be consumed by the darkness of our actions," he began, his voice steady. "For the Lord God calls us to the light, guiding his chosen through paths of righteousness." Hammer nodded, his brow furrowed with a mixture of apprehension and hope. "We have lost much in recent days," he said, "but we also have the potential to weave together a new destiny. Would your sons consider joining our daughters in solemn covenant? Our women would be cherished, and our men, recognized as brothers in this land." Simeon, still caught in the grip of bitterness, stepped forward, his heart at war with his reason. "How can we speak of marriage when the blood of our kin has not yet dried? Are we to forget their cries, their pain?" At these words, Dinah's spirit stirred. With resolve, she took a step toward her brother, her heart alight with urgency. "Simeon," she implored, "the weight of our past cannot be lifted by revenge. Each life lost is a lament that echoes through the heavens. Would we return to the Lord in repentance and build bridges of peace, or shall we turn from the path of healing and be swallowed by anger?" The murmurs of the crowd grew louder, curiosity mingling with doubt. Jacob, sensing the critical nature of this discourse, raised a hand to silence them. "Hearken to Dinah. Her wisdom flows from the heart of God, and we are beckoned to consider our future openly before him." As night wrapped the earth in its cloak, Hammer gathered his elders, conferring in muted tones. Finally, he turned back towards Jacob, his voice firm yet hopeful. "If your sons were willing to circumcise themselves and enter into the covenant of our houses, would you allow the marriage to proceed? Thus, together we would forge bonds of kinship that carry the weight of our families." Jacob turned to his sons, their faces depicted a tempest of stubbornness and turmoil. Levi broke the silence, his voice flat with emotion. "By what measure do we trust those who have harmed our sister? Their words are many, yet how do we judge their hearts?" Yet a flicker of consideration broke through their hardened fronts, a glimmer of Dinah's charge lingering. The night deepened, and a gentle breeze rustled through the leaves, as if heaven itself breathed in expectancy. The essence of mercy trembled in the air, and hearts turned over the proposition like soil ready for planting. Dinah spoke again, her voice soft yet powerful. "This is our moment, brothers. Do we choose vengeance that brings destruction, or do we sow seeds of life together? The Lord watches, and his blessings await those who seek peace." Finally, Jacob, leaning on faith and the hope of a united family, proposed, "If we are to move forward, let all parties first enter into a sacred covenant, a sign that binds us in trust. Each man must demonstrate his willingness through the true act of humility." As resolution began to form, a divine solemnity fell upon Jacob's heart. He could sense the weight of eternity in their choices. What future would they carve in the tapestry of generations? With the dawn surely leading over the horizon of their tumultuous night, Jacob sighed deeply, pulling his sons close in a solemn embrace. Yet, unbeknownst to them, the winds whispered of greater trials ahead, for the plans of men do not always align with the will of God. The shadows of temptation still lurked as far more than family ties lay in the balance. And therein would lie their ultimate test: what sacrifice shall bind the lives they choose to embrace? Is it the promise of peace or the echoes of their past that will ultimately dictate their destinies? As the moon climbed high in the heavens, casting its silvery glow upon the earth, a silence fell over the assembly. Each heart wrestled with the weight of the moment, the tension was like a taut string, ready to snap. Jacob, filled with a father's love and a leader's burden, gazed upon his sons and spoke once more, his voice carrying the conviction of ages. "Brothers," he said, "the Lord has placed us at a crossroads. We stand between the shadow of revenge and the light of reconciliation. Let us not be mere vessels of wrath, we are chosen to bear witness to His grace." These words hung in the air, the profound truth igniting an inner turmoil within Simeon. The fire of his anger flickered uncertainly beneath Jacob's unwavering conviction. "Father," he protested, "how shall we forge peace with those who have wrought such pain? Can we truly trust their hearts, when blood stains their hands?" Levi, echoing his brother's sentiment, eyed Hammer and his people, suspicion written across his face. "A covenant built on the ashes of our loss feels as fragile as the dust from which we were formed." Dinah, unwilling to let them drown in despair, stepped forth again, her voice rising above the murmurs. "Do we not serve a God who fashioned creation from nothingness? He calls us to be new creations, to restore what was lost. We may yet heal the wounds of our past." Through her words, a flicker of hope ignited even in the hearts of the most hardened. Hammer watched silently, an expression of desperate hope on his face. "Your sister voices wisdom that speaks to the heart," he said. "We come seeking restoration, not war. Through this covenant, we can forge a future that honors our families." Silence again enveloped them, heavy with contemplation, as dawn's first light began to creep over the horizon, illuminating faces with its gentle glow. Jacob felt the stirring of the Spirit within him, an urging to guide his family towards the will of the Almighty. "If we are to proceed," Jacob declared, "let us call upon the Lord. Let us offer prayers of unity and submission. Let us seek His guidance in this unprecedented alliance." And with these words, he knelt, the elders of both families following suit, creating a circle of humility and petition. As they prayed, the air thickened with divine expectancy. And suddenly, a rustle echoed through the trees, as if the earth itself responded to their supplications. In that sacred hush, a sense of foreboding filled Jacob's heart. The very stars bore witness, their flickering glimmers seemed to echo the promise of a God who never forgets His people. Suddenly, in the midst of prayer, a voice arose from the gathering shadows. "What is this you speak of? A union born from the ashes of grief?" It was the voice of a neighboring clan's elder, who had observed the union from afar. "You would mingle with those who have brought destruction to your door?" Anger stirred in Jacob's sons, yet he raised a hand to quiet them. "Let not our eyes be clouded with scorn. We seek peace, even in the face of adversity." But the elder continued unabated, "Know that the road is fraught with peril, trust can be a mirage." Thus, the debate deepened beneath the weight of heavy memories and unhealed wounds, for the path of peace was never straightforward. And yet, as Jacob pondered the unfolding drama, he felt a divine whisper upon his spirit. It promised hope amid uncertainty, even as trials lay ahead. What unseen hand guides our steps? He pondered, the shadows of doubt swirling around him. Will we rise as a people of faith, or succumb to bitterness that strives for vengeance? There lay a challenge before them, a clandestine test of their character that would reveal the destiny of their lineage, for in this stirring moment, unbeknownst to them all, God prepared the way for something greater, a covenant inscribed in the hearts of men, reshaping their stories and changing the course of nations. What awaited them in the tapestry of divine design remained shrouded in mystery, awaiting its magnificent revelation. As the dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, the tension palpable in the air seemed to thicken. Jacob remained on his knees, whispering fervent prayers, his heart laid bare before God. Around him, the faces of his sons reflected a myriad of emotions: doubt, anger, hope, and confusion. Then, Hammer, emboldened by Dinah's encouraging words, took a step closer, his gaze unwavering. We seek not only your sister's hand in marriage but also a bond that transcends mere blood. Let our families be joined, not just for this moment, but for an everlasting legacy. Shall we not honor the fallen with a new covenant of peace? But sacrifice requires more than words, Levi admonished, his brow furrowed. What assurance do we have that their hearts have turned from their sins? Shall we let our guard down to those who have wronged us so deeply? Dinah interjected, her voice steady and filled with wisdom. Peace cannot flourish in an environment nurtured by vengeance. We are not called to bear grudges but to witness the power of forgiveness and redemption. Is not our God a God of the impossible, who can change hearts and redeem lives? Her words hung heavily in the air, challenging the hardened hearts of her brothers. With every passing moment, it became clear that this encounter was about more than personal loss. It was a test of their faith, a call to reflect their Creator's heart. As Jacob rose to his feet, he looked into the eyes of each son, feeling both their pain and their resolve. This covenant must reflect our commitment to God's mercy. We are His chosen. If we are to rebuild trust, we must first let go of our resentment. Only then can we forge a future together. At that moment, another voice pierced the silence, echoing from the edge of the crowd. It was a warrior from outside the assembly, drawn by the murmurs of conflict. What foolishness is this? You would bind yourselves to those who have brought shame to your house? Are you prepared to risk your honor, to sully your family's name? Simeon's hands clenched into fists, his fury rekindled. Is it foolishness to seek a new path? For too long have we held on to hatred, and is it not more foolish to let it define our lineage? You would have us walk in the ways of our forefathers, steeped in blood and revenge, instead of following the path of reconciliation laid before us. Jacob stepped forward, a calming presence. Let us not give in to the tempter's call for discord. The ways of man may lead to destruction, but God's ways are higher than ours. We must pray and seek His face, for the decision we make today could echo through generations. In that moment of vulnerability and honesty, the hearts gathered began to shift. There was a palpable movement of the Spirit among them, an urging to seek God's will above all, and as the sun rose higher, illuminating the assembly with its warm light, Jacob called upon all to join hands in a circle of unity. Lay aside your burdens and summon the courage to trust. For even in this valley of decision, God is at work, shaping our futures in ways unseen. As they began to pray, the wind picked up, swirling around them like an invisible tide. An unseen presence loomed over the gathering, and the hearts of men prepared to face the great unknown, but even as they prayed, Jacob could not shake the feeling of divine urgency. What awaited them beyond this moment? A deeper trial, a more profound calling that would test their resolve and faith. Little did they know that the resolve they were forging would soon be challenged in ways they could never anticipate, a divine confrontation that would either elevate their faith to unimaginable heights or cast them into the shadows of despair, for in the tapestry of God's great design, there lay a greater plan, one that would stretch the boundaries of their understanding and call them to a destiny entwined with nations yet unborn. What mysteries awaited them as the Almighty wove His sovereign thread through their lives? The answer lingered just beyond their grasp, waiting for revelation. As the wind settled and the prayers rose like incense before the Almighty, a holy stillness enveloped the assembly. It was as if the heavens had paused, holding their breath in anticipation of the moment that lay ahead. Jacob, sensing the weight of the moment, turned his face heavenward, yearning for a word from the Lord, yet, amidst the serenity, the voice of the warrior still echoed in Jacob's ears, a reminder of the worldly challenges that rattled the foundations of their covenant. Elohim, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, he cried silently. Guide us in this hour, and reveal to us the paths you have laid. In that instant, a hush fell over the multitude as Dinah's eyes lit with a gleam of understanding. Our destinies are intertwined, not merely by blood but through choices yet unmade, she declared, her heart bold with the fervor of divine insight. The very act of unity we seek, could it not also be a divine canvas upon which God paints His story? The brothers looked upon her with renewed interest, their hearts stirring at the thought of her words. Could our acceptance of Hammer's proposal, Levi ventured, open not just our families, but our hearts to divine possibility? Jacob, sensing the shift within his sons, reaffirmed, if we are to proceed, let it be in the fear of the Lord. For it is He who shapes nations and moves in the hearts of men. Let our covenant not be birthed from wounds yet festering but from a place of healing. As dawn continued to unfold, light illuminated three figures approaching from the edge of their gathering, a trio of men from Shechem, Hammer's kin, drawn by the warmth of unity and hope that flickered among Jacob's sons. Their eyes carried a mix of fear and expectation, emotions that echoed the very essence of humanity's yearning for peace. We come not to impose, but to invite, their leader announced, bowing his head in a gesture of respect. If you would extend this covenant, know that our journey towards restoration begins today. We believe our paths have crossed divinely for such a time as this. Simeon, still wary yet realizing the potential, stepped forward, a flame of determination ignited within him. If peace is your objective and forgiveness is sought, then let not history's chains bind us. We offer not just words but a covenant filled with the promise of faith. The probed hearts of the people stirred at the proclamation, and even Jacob sensed the divine machinery at work. Let us break bread together, as we renew our commitment to healing not only for our families but for the generations to come. In this sacred act, let the Lord's will be manifest among us. As they shared their meal, the air grew heavy with the presence of the Most High. Each bite carried with it a weight of reconciliation, each sip echoing the hope that God could indeed transform their futures. Yet, as unity flourished momentarily, the air sparkled with the tension of the unseen. The faithful gathered, their hearts beating in synchrony, yet Jacob felt an urgency. This was merely the dawning of a greater journey, where even this covenant could lead down paths of trials yet unknown, for unknown to them. As they rejoiced in shared bread, the shadow of conflict stirred at the fringes of their assembly. For God's plan included both joy and challenge, deeply rooted in His sovereign will and revealing a destiny that would stir the hearts of nations yet to be born. Little did they know, the weight of their choices would usher in a wave of challenges that would demand their utmost faith. What awaited beyond this moment of fragile peace? The clash of righteousness against sin, and the call to stand firm in the truth amidst upheaval, lingered in the sacred air, waiting for the appointed time of revelation. As the meal concluded and the remnants of bread lay scattered on the earth, a solemn stillness lingered over the gathering. Jacob, feeling the heaviness of the moment, could not shake the unease that lay nestled deep within his spirit. He still felt the pull of two pressing realities, the promise of unity and the lurking specter of discord. Brothers, he called to his sons, his voice carrying the weight of patriarchal authority, let us heed the path before us with discernment. What we have shared today is not merely food, but a bond that seeks the Lord's blessing. Can we accept what lies ahead if it bears the yoke of sacrifice? Levi, emboldened by Dinah's vision and the words exchanged, spoke with a fervent heart, our choices hold consequences far beyond our sight. Let us not forfeit this chance for unity without first seeking God's counsel. Shall we pursue peace even if peace demands our own discomfort? As Jacob regarded his son, he saw men who were beginning to comprehend the depth of their lineage and responsibility. Unbeknownst to them, the outcome of their agreements would not only sculpt their lives but reverberate through the ages, writing their legacy within the annals of spiritual history. Suddenly, the dark shadows of history whispered into the gathering, memories of past transgressions haunting the hearts of the brothers. A flicker of hesitation passed between them, the specter of vengeance lingered like a specter upon their souls, beckoning them to strike with the force of retribution. Jacob raised his hand, peace must be forged, not through the fire of wrath but by the grace of reconciliation. At that moment, a young voice broke the silence. Dinah, emboldened by the gravity of her brother's debate, stepped forward. If the hearts of our fathers directed us towards hate, must we not break that chain and ignite a beacon of hope? Is it not through our actions today that the future may be forged anew? Will we attend to God's calling rather than our desire for blood? Her words fell upon the assembly like a gentle rain upon parched soil, igniting something profound within each listener. Jacob leaned into the spirit of his daughter's resolve, for he recognized the threads of divine purpose woven into her plea. Unbeknownst to them all, the Lord himself had been watching, ready to unveil his sovereign will through this family, yet, as the assembly discussed their next steps, strife brewed in the distance. A messenger from Shechem, sent from Hamor, arrived, breathless and alarmed. "Your families have gathered to witness this covenant," he urged, "but their hearts are not yet at rest. Word has spread of your intentions, and the fear of conflict stirs among both our peoples." An electric tension rippled through Jacob's sons. The fragile peace they sought was threatened by the drums of war resounding in the valleys beyond. Their idealism flickered under the shadow of fear as Simeon's brow furrowed with concern. "What must we do? Can peace truly survive the pain of our histories?" Jacob raised both hands, intent upon prescribing a course of action that would honor God's desire for unity. "Let us send forth ambassadors, men of grace and wisdom, to bear testimony of our intentions and to proclaim our choice for harmony. It is time we see the hearts of our neighbors, for our mutual brokenness may yet bind us." As they prepared to send forth their emissaries, a deeper understanding of God's design began to dawn, a truth that would echo through generations. For although trials sought to challenge their unity, they would also serve to fulfill a divine orchestration. Yet amidst this profound realization, a strange whisper gripped Jacob's heart, a revelation heavy with anticipation. What was the true purpose of this covenant? Was it merely a union of families, or did it hold within its grasp the key to a destiny far more significant than they perceived? The threads of God's sovereign plan were just beginning to intertwine, and the tapestry of their lives was yet unspooled. What more awaited in the unfolding chapters? Would the choices made in this fragile moment lead to reconciliation or despair? The air crackled with the potency of divine mysteries, and the Lord's hand stretched out even now, compelling his people towards a profound destiny yet unimagined. And as the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting rays of warmth upon the solemn assembly, a sacred hush fell over them as uncertainty intertwined with hope. Jacob, drawn forth by the weight of divine purpose, lifted his face heavenward, yearning for clarity amidst the chaos. "O Lord, hasten to guide us in our hour of need. We stand at the precipice, we seek to eschew vengeance, to become vessels of peace. Show us the way." In that moment of deep supplication, a profound stillness enveloped the hearts of all gathered. The air seemed to shimmer with the presence of the Almighty, whispering promises upon the breeze. And the messenger from Shechem, whose breath had been caught in the storm of conflict, turned to Jacob and declared, "The hearts of our people beat for resolution, yet they yearn for confidence in your intentions. They fear that history will repeat itself if bonds are forged recklessly." With renewed resolve, Jacob arose, his spirit ignited anew. "Let us ensure that our commitment is true and honorable. We shall embark upon this covenant with sincerity, guided by the hand of God." He turned to his sons, seeing them transformed by the weight of their collective choice, now threaded with hope. "Now is the time for us to reclaim our legacy, not through the lens of revenge but with hearts attuned to reconciliation." Dinah, emboldened by the unity she had inspired, spoke forth once more, her voice alight with divine conviction. "Let our hearts blossom into a garden where forgiveness flourishes. What we sow today shall yield a harvest of love and kinship in days to come. Shall we not show our families that we, as children of Yahweh, can transform the scars of our past into the foundation of our future?" Her words stirred a gentle awakening among her brothers, as they contemplated the spark of hope that their sister ignited in the hearts of both families. Levi, the most steadfast among them, felt a shift within. "If we can extend our hands in peace, then let us also bind ourselves in covenant, not as foes but united in purpose, a family set apart to be a blessing to the nations." With a collective heart, they spoke a solemn pledge before the Lord. Each brother's hand clasped Dinah's, affirming their commitment to restore what had been broken. Together they turned toward Hamor, who stood before them with hope shining in his eyes, yearning for the healing that they all sought. A wave of grace washed over those gathered as Hamor stepped forward. "In this sacred moment, we also pledge to honor your sister and protect your family. Together, we shall build a bastion of unity that stands against the tide of enmity. He extended his hand, inviting Jacob's sons to embrace a path toward healing, one that would lead them through tumult into reconciliation. Thus, in that sacred space beneath the ancient oak, the covenant was sealed with reverence, a testament of love and mutual respect. The echoes of approval rang through the hearts of their ancestors, a reminder of the covenant made with Yahweh. And in this act, the seeds were sown for a new legacy, one of forgiveness, renewal, and unity. As they stood together, brothers and new kin, the sun began to set, painting the sky with vivid strokes of orange and purple, symbolizing the divine palette upon which they would write their future. With every beat of their hearts, they could sense the spirits of their forebears whispering approval, a reminder that though shadows of violence once loomed, the radiance of God's promise now colored their pathway. Then, at that very moment, a profound truth surged forth from deep within Jacob's soul. The Lord does not merely call us to be descendants of Abraham, He calls us to be architects of peace, not just for ourselves but for generations yet to come. This is our divine appointment, a witness to His restoration. With spirits uplifted, they embraced the everlasting covenant and each other, forging bonds of kinship that transcended the pain and brokenness of their past. The tension that had suffocated their hearts began to dissipate like dew in the morning sun, replaced with the sweet joy of hope and new beginnings. So it came to pass that the lineage of Jacob, once marred by strife and betrayal, found its redemption through sacred choices, an eternal reminder that even in our darkest hours, divine grace beckons us toward restoration and unity. As their families mingled and celebrated, the cries of peace began to ripple through their communities like a life-giving stream, a promise that would flow through the ages. And what lay ahead was not just a union of families, but a promise of destiny, intertwined with God's sovereign plan, one that would unfold across generations, ensuring that the legacy of forgiveness would shine as a beacon into the future. Now, dear friends, reflect upon this unfolding story of redemption and reconciliation. How can you allow God to weave His tapestry of grace in your life? You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word. Every story brings you closer to the divine promises that transform our lives. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth. Leave a like now to ensure others experience the impact of His grace. Comment below how this powerful narrative of sacred choices has touched your heart and impacted your faith. Remember, sharing is caring. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. Together, let us shine the light of His love across the world.